Cookie with Rabbi. And yes, here we are. I hit on switch and we're on a roll. I've already eaten my cookie. I got kind of hungry. So here's my coffee. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Jaylee. This being the second day of Sukkot, let me tell you what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I snuck off for a couple hours. Me and Mr. Casey, we went magnet fishing. You might want to know what magnet fishing is. That's when you go fishing, not for magnets, but you go fishing with a magnet. You know, we're not looking for trout or walleye or any of those other type of fish. No, we're looking for things that have been thrown into the river. So we got our magnets. We're out there. I took 100 feet of line, 100 feet, mind you. Okay, I tied it to my magnet. I'm on the 4th Street Bridge, and I'm thinking, maybe 40 feet, 50 feet down to the water. I got 100 feet. I was wrong. It was closer to 65 feet to the water. And I threw that magnet off and sucked out all the line immediately. And I lost my rope. Fortunately, Mr. Casey, he had his magnet and rope. And so he kind of threw it out there and snagged my rope and pulled it back in. But we were out there. We're looking for things that people throw over the bridge, you know, especially in Pueblo. You might come up with guns and knives and all sorts of stuff. But we didn't. No guns or knives. But we did catch a railroad tie, spike, and a railroad plate, and some broken iron pipe. And I think it's about all we caught. But we hauled the junk in and out of the water. But it's kind of fun. Probably going to do it again. Matter of fact, pretty sure I'm going to do it again. But what is magnet fishing all about? Just about finding stuff that people have tossed away. Now, I want to read to you this morning's scripture, which comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 4, starting in verse 18. As Jesus was walking beside the Sea of Galilee, he saw 2 brothers, Simon called Peter and his brother Andrew. They were casting a net into the lake, for they were fishermen. Come, follow me, Jesus said, and I will make you fishers of men. At once, they left their nets and followed him. How cool is that? He called, and they obeyed. As they were casting their nets into the water. But it's kind of interesting. You have to go looking if you want to catch something. If we're going to be fishers of men, we have to go looking. We got to have a magnet and a line. The magnet happens to be something to offer. Salvation, redemption, forgiveness, peace of heart, peace of mind, peace of soul. You know, we have things to offer. But unfortunately, not too many believers go fishing for men. You know, and that's the part that bothers me the most, because that happens to be our number one position, our number one job. Before Peter and Andrew knew anything, they knew that they were going to be fishing for men and not for fish. Now, there will always be fishermen. In fact, if you remember at the very end of the book of John, they slipped off again to go fishing. And there Yeshua finds them. Interesting thing about that story is the catching nothing. And this is after the resurrection. Yeshua says, throw your net on the other side of the boat. And they did. And they had so many fish, it almost swamped their little boat. Little boat's only about 26, 27 feet long. It's wide, maybe at its widest point, 7 feet. But you know what? They caught fish. So many fish. And all they did is just put the net in the water when he told them to. And that's like us. If we put our net in the water, as we're led by the Spirit, we will catch men. Because we are fishers of men. Not fishermen, but fishers of men. I think sometimes we don't do it because we're afraid of being rejected. I've gone fishing a few times. I mean, real regular fishing recently. And I seem to catch something every now and then, but most of them are so small I have to throw them back. But the reality is, if you don't fish, you don't catch. And yet, that was the very first job that Yeshua gave to his disciples. I want you to go fishing for people. And so I believe, as modern day believers, our mission hasn't changed. We are fishers of men. So how do you start? How do you actually start becoming a fisherman? First of all, you got to be pleasant and conversational. You can't be grumpy and call yourself a fisherman. Hey, you want to know Jesus or you want to go to hell? Yeah, can't be doing that. Doesn't seem to work. I don't think I've ever met anybody that was excited about talking to me when my attitudes was like that. No, I think we have to be personal. And actually, in my personal life, I found that I never had success with anybody I didn't like. I think we have to care for that lost person. We have to care for that lost soul and realize how important they are, not only to me, but even more so to God. But I know they're important to God because he put me in their path after me asking to be a fisher of men. Think about this for a moment. When was the last time you went fishing or spoke to a stranger about the Lord? And yet, that's our whole purpose. Go into all the world, preach the good news to every creature, to every person. Anybody that'll listen. Anybody. And so, the important part here to understand is that's our task. But if you don't like people, it makes it very difficult. Matter of fact, it will make it impossible. So let me suggest you start with people you know, people you can start up a conversation with, who are not going to write you off, at least not immediately. Begin to tell them what's important to you. Tell them the story of how you came to faith, how they can come to faith. Be fishers of men. And, it would help if you knew a few scriptures, like, all those who call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Oh, I'm not going to give you the addresses. You got to look them up. You got to do a little work here. Okay? If you need help, go to your pastor, go to your priest, go to your rabbi, and say, Pastor, priest, rabbi person, would you please show me the scriptures for leading someone to the Lord? Yep. But there won't be a draw bigger than you yourself. You are the magnet. Okay? And they're the iron. They're the steel that you want to pull in. But you got to care for them. You got to want to. And it's important to realize that once you've reeled it in, once you've reeled it in, that you must now help clean the fish. What does that mean? Get them started. Don't just drop them off to the church and say, here you are. Make sure to continue coming alongside and help them to grow. You've heard the term, I'm sure, born again. Well, under our Jewish tradition, when one comes to faith, they are born again. But the whole community becomes the parent. The whole community comes alongside to help raise that new child. Even though if he's 50 years old, he's still just born again. So, evangelism is what the church calls it. Loving people is what I call it. You got to want to help people escape the flame and the fires of hell. That, as believers, for us to do. Oh, what a good day. It is so beautiful outside. I do need to inform you, though, that I'm going on the road tomorrow for a week, and I will still be putting my program up, but can't always guarantee it's going to be at 9 o'clock. So please be patient with me. If you don't see it at 9 o'clock, then if you would, just check throughout the day. Also, this Thursday, there is no, wake up, 9 Because if I'm going to be gone for a week, why should everybody else have to labor? So they all get a little time off. I tell you what, I got the greatest bunch of people working with me, starting with my wife, and then my apprentice, and Rabbi Rittenhouse, and of course, David Cole, who's also a genius. Well, they're all geniuses, of course. But that's what I'm saying. I got a great bunch of people, and I want to be careful not to burn them up or burn them out. So when they do their stick, you might give them a little encouragement. Nevertheless, we don't work for encouragement. We work for God. But encouragement helps. So tomorrow, by this time, I'll be somewhere towards the end of Kansas, I think. I know I'll be in Kansas, but somewhere towards the end. I'm heading off to Detroit to see my brother for a few days. And I don't like flying. I don't want to rub up against 1,000 people who rubbed up against 1,000 people. I would rather be in my little car, listening to my stereo, going down the road, and just reading the street signs and hopefully making the right turn at the right time. So anyway, all this to simply say, please pray for me while I'm on the road. Also, please hit the like button and the share button. And yes, there's a donation button there. And we're going to keep reaching out far, far, far out. So anyway, God's good. Now, let's see, is there anything else I need to remind you of? Oh, yes. Don't forget to support your church, your synagogue, your parish. Come alongside and become a player. Ask the pastor, the priest, the rabbi, what can I do to make this work even better? Because as a good book says, many hands make easy work. Well, all that said and done, I'll go ahead and let you go at this time. I look forward to talking tomorrow sometime, and I'm going to try for early in the morning. Remember, there's time changes between here and my destination, so my time might fluctuate, but I will put something up each day. So God bless you, keep you, cause his face shine upon you, and be gracious to you. And I will see you, or you'll see me, tomorrow. Take much care.